So you might have seen the posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Claude's about to replace your CFO. Just upload some information and then you will get your full financial picture. Load of nonsense. Take it from me. I'm a CFO with over 18 years experience and I've actually built my own finance app in Claude Code. And this is me, somebody that uses Claude Code, telling you that Claude cannot replace your finance function. This video was in conjunction with the guys at CFO Connect and Luke Hancock. This video, I will show you in the first 10 minutes how you can build a simple app in Claude Code. Then I will show you what I've built in Claude Code. This is a super app. You don't want to miss this one. Check it out.
All right, we are live. Claude Code session number 3. We have Kevin Steele here with us. Kevin was brought to my attention. I just was browsing LinkedIn and Kevin has been sharing some really cool use cases of building his own AI-native FP&A app. And so, got him on here because I just wanted to show you guys what he's built. It's been quite impressive. In our briefing call, he went very deep in the functionality that he built. 5 weeks ago, he had no coding experience. And here he is today with one of the most robust tools I've seen Claude coded before. So very excited to have him on board and show you guys what he's done. Before I dive in, to everyone who's just joining in, welcome to this session hosted by CFO Connect. Would love to just ask the audience in the chat, what's your level of Claude Code comfortability or usage from 1 to 5? Like how much of an expert are you with Claude Code, or how much have you tried it? We'd love to see where people are right now as we kind of try to showcase more examples. So yeah, seeing a lot of zeros and ones. I see a 4 from Frederick. That's good. Also Lars is a 4, but yeah, lots of zeros, lots of ones. So hopefully after the session with Kevin, we can bump that up 1 or 2 notches. For everybody who's new to these sessions, this is hosted by CFO Connect. We're a community for finance leaders. Our mission really is just to make you better at your job. So you can apply for free here, sharing the link. So feel free to apply. You'll get emails on when we run sessions like these. We have reports. We have different kinds of content. Also, if you want to just connect with me on LinkedIn, I try to also share a lot of our events via my LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me. And then also, while I'm at it, yeah, sharing also Kevin's LinkedIn as well, if you want to connect with him, because he has a lot of cool content that he's sharing about his app. So that's it. That's my spiel. We're gonna jump straight into it. So Kevin, if you want to take it over, give a quick intro and dive into things.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks very much, Luke. Much appreciated. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Claude Code session number 3. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you what I did to start building this app in Claude Code. So the very first step I took. And then the second part of what I'm going to show you is the app, what I have built and its current state now. So without further ado, let us kick off. So I'm just going to move this window over here and I'm going to share my screen. So let's go there. Let's go share. And we're going to share entire screen. So before I share, this is how I started building this app. So I simply opened up Claude Code and a little bit of setup required, but due to kind of time constraints, we're not going to cover how to install everything. But you guys are CFOs, you've used systems, you will be able to do it. You can get set up and running within 30 minutes easily. So what I did was the very first prompt I did was, hey, I'm looking to build an app which has a profit and loss account with drivers where I can update to populate. Eventually, I want to move on to balance sheet and then cash flow, so a full 3-way forecast, but I want to take it step by step and start with a P&L. So first thing Claude will do is it will come back and give a recommendation on what kind of tech stack it's going to use to build the app. To be honest, when I first started, I didn't really understand what a lot of this meant. So I just said, hey, tech stack sounds good. And I asked some questions as well. So forecast horizon, what type of drivers do we want? Actuals versus forecast. Do you want to enter actuals for past months? Business type for mock data. So I answered the questions. Tech stack sounds good. Start with simple 12 months. Start with those drivers. Let's have actuals. They're good for testing. And I want a services business. Let's use demo data for the actuals. Let's take a 4 million revenue marketing company. And then Claude will come back locked in. Here's the plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. And then it will give us some data for a realistic 4 million marketing agency, revenue, GP, EBITDA, UK corporate tax, etc. So it looks good for steps 1 and 2. Will you help me step by step to get all of this set up? Will it be easy? Because you're using Claude Code for the first time. You're like, well, this sounds a little bit technical. How easy or difficult is this going to be? So Claude simply says, yes, very easy. Both steps are mostly mechanical, which Claude is great at doing mechanical stuff in the background. I'll run the commands. You just approve permission prompts and tell me to continue. So step 1, 5 to 10 minutes. Step 2, 5 minutes pure code. All I need to do is approve permission prompts, say continue, and then run a little prompt. And then, first time I'm using it, is this actually safe and secure? Always worth asking, is this safe and secure for whatever you're doing? Honest answer, yes, for what we're building. Few things worth knowing. What's safe here? Any kind of edge case risks and things worth flagging. Then I asked, so to install all the back-end complicated programming stuff, I don't really need to do much. Will it just work? Short answer, yes. And then I just put down here, by the way, this is just a test I'm doing for a webinar later. Don't overwrite any existing packages or files that I have. We wouldn't want that to happen. So then Claude just says, this is what I'll do. Then I just type run. Claude will do the coding stuff in the background. I just say continue for the next step. Claude does the coding stuff in the background. Step 1 complete. Summary of what happens. Now step 2. I just say, okay, step 2. It will run through step 2, the key design, decisions, the 6 drivers it's going to build, the actuals versus forecast, the tax treatment, the periods hard-coded. And if the structure looks like, just say continue. And we want to step 2, continue, runs through step 2, all done, all 3 steps done, files created. So now it's confirming it has done all the kind of complicated back-end programming work. So what's coming up? Step 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. Step 3 complete. So you will see my comments from the blue. I'm just saying, okay, let's continue. Ready for step 4? Continue. Step 5, continue. Step 6, continue. So I'm letting Claude literally handle all of this background so I can just get a very simple version of a P&L app. Continue, and then we get to the end. So phase 1, P&L is done. It's done the back end, complex programming stuff. It's built a calculation engine P&L grid, 4 million marketing agency seed data, driver editing UI, and actuals entry period line. And then what that looks like after all of that is it came out with this little very, very simple app for a demo marketing agency. So we've got P&L, cost of sales, GP, EBITDA, EBIT, profit after tax, net profit. And we also spoke about the drivers here. So drivers, for example, P&L line, retained revenue, where do you want to put it? Cost of sales, OPEX, D&A, interest, and what driver is this being run on? And if we wanted to make our own driver, let's add one here. So driver name, webinar demo driver, for example. And we can see it down there. What numbers do we want to have for this? So let's just put in some random figures here. There we go. Fine. So now we have webinar demo driver. Excuse me. And let's assign that driver against project revenue. So webinar demo driver against project revenue. And you will see that that driver has now updated the project revenue. And basically getting to this stage took about 10, 15 minutes, a little bit quicker than what I've showed here because Claude needs to process in the background, kind of running and installing stuff. But remember, the key thing is let Claude do most of the work to get to your MVP. Continue. 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 And then once you get to your MVP, now this is a point where you might be like, okay, there's a few things missing here. I might want to see GP percentage shown under GP. I might want to change the tax settings. I might want to improve the UI a little bit. And this is a point where you would keep working on your P&L to get it to the way you want, the drivers working the way you want, that kind of thing. And then once you're happy, and all you're doing is asking Claude questions back and forth, improve this, does this look right? Take a screenshot, that's a key tip. Take a screenshot of what's there and then maybe highlight. So for example, if I didn't like April and May, there was something wrong with that, I would take a screenshot of this. I would circle using the snipping tool, April and May. I would paste that into Claude Code. And then I would say, hey, April and May, I don't like the look of this. I don't like the way that font is. I would prefer this data changed or moved somewhere else. And then Claude would do it. Screenshots and pasting them into Claude is a really, really good way because it's a lot easier to show Claude an image than it is to kind of type out a long kind of 3-4 paragraph trying to explain, okay, like that part of the screen I want moved over there, just send it a screenshot. And then by the end of your iteration process back and forth with Claude, you will have a P&L that you're kind of happy with, that you can use. And then from that point onwards, you can start to build out whatever you want. So the next logical progression would be the balance sheet. And obviously, you'll need to link up a lot of things from P&L to balance sheet. The balance sheet itself will require a lot of work as well. And then once you build your balance sheet, next logical step is you might want to build a cash flow model that flows in from both the P&L and the balance sheet. And then after a bit of experimentation, etc., after a week or two, you can have a fairly decent little three-way forecasting model app. And the key thing is you're building it specifically to your customization. If anything doesn't look right, anything's annoying, you want something a specific way, you can build it. And this is how I started building my app. This is the process I went through. I went into Claude Code, I built a P&L, I built a balance sheet, I built a cash flow statement. I made sure the kind of back end technical finance three-way modeling was correct. It worked before I even tried to do anything fancy. But as a nice segue, speaking of fancy things, let me show you what I have built. And bear in mind, I had little to no coding experience from about 5-6 weeks ago. And I have built this purely going back and forth with Claude. So we have about 12, 13 minutes or so. Usually this would take about 60 minutes to give you a complete deep dive, really going into a lot of detail in terms of how the finance engine works for everything. But I'm going to try cover as much as I can, as quickly as I can. So let's go. The app is called Inflective Intelligence, and we have groups and we have individual companies. So this app really shines in group consolidation. So let's start with an individual company first, and then I will show you a consolidated demo. So try demo. So this is the front end of the app. This is a dashboard, and we can change the UI of this. So we can go compact, default, comfortable, month on month, year on year, month, quarter, year. We hover over, we have spark lines. We got revenue, EBITDA, rolling 24 months. So for example, we wanted to see revenue, GP, and EBITDA. We can go there. We can kind of scroll across. We can see values per month. We've got a cash runway. This demo company is in a very good position. It has infinity cash because it is a random demo company. We've got a P&L waterfall there. We've got EBITDA per scenario. So this company's got multiple scenarios. It's got a baseline, best case, worst case, and the actual master budget for the year. And then we've got like GP margin, EBITDA margin, DSO, DPO. And we also pull in operational data as well. So we've got like headcount, website sessions, bounce rate, staff utilization rate, pipeline value, deals closed, win rate, client NPS. We've got full year, best estimate versus budget, aging distribution, data concentration, and some quick links down there. So this is the thing about a lot of Claude tools, right? They look fancy, but do they actually work? I mean, what's the substance behind all these numbers? Are they actually legit? Anybody can make a fancy dashboard. So what's really key about this is like the financial engineering in the background that makes it actually work. So at a lightning pace, I'm going to run through some of this. So first of all, we have an import. We can import directly from Xero, QuickBooks, or Sage. And then once imported, we can go into our both P&L and balance sheet. We can edit our P&L structure any way we want. We can map it out. And for specific nominals, we can also assign to a specific P&L category. We can assign a VAT or sales tax code, and we can assign a timing profile on the nominal. First question you're going to ask is, hey, it's great assigning a timing profile to a nominal, but you might have a sales account with loads of different customers, loads of different tax, all that kind of good stuff. So why does assigning a set timing profile or a set tax code, how's that going to help? Well, we get around that by something called mini forecasts. So if you use Fathom, this is broadly similar. So for example, this consulting retained revenue line, this actually has a mix of timing profiles on it. So some customers pay in the same month, some pay net 30, some net 60, some net 90. The net 60 customers might have no tax. The same month might have no tax either. And then we can use our forecast drivers in the background to create formulas and calculations on this. So if we take, for example, number of retained clients, monthly retainer fee, we could go in here and tag number of retained clients times monthly retainer fee, boom, and then we can kind of just fill across there. Also, very, very handy with forecast drivers and mini forecasts, we can actually literally copy and paste from Excel or Google Sheets. So if you've got the information on Excel and Google Sheet, you've already got some manual data, some drivers, etc. Then what you can do is you can just literally copy and paste, and they will appear. Very useful. And also, if we're looking at kind of things for staff, so staff costs, for example, you might have them split into different teams. So here we've got some staff costs. What we can also do is we can group category tag and use them for drivers. So this obviously is a revenue line, but we're going for an example, staff costs. So that could be our marketing team, for example. And then we can just pull that across. And if we have new people joining, leaving, as long as we update our drivers, our forecast will kind of update along. And then we have our forecast drivers there. And then we have our P&L screen here, where we can go month, quarter, year, year on year. We also have an anomalies function. So anomalies will pick up anything that looks out of the normal variance kind of thing. So useful for spotting either historic or kind of forecast errors in the future. And then last thing I forgot to cover was the forecast screen itself here. We can do things like moving average 12-month, weighted moving average, exponential smoothing, linear trend, growth rate, seasonal. And this little green here, it will change green, amber, or red on the forecast confidence of whatever methodology we're choosing. So if this was really poor forecast confidence based on whatever we're choosing, it will go to red, but it will always default to green. So firing through quickly again, balance sheet's the same, balance sheet there. Also, we can export to Excel, and it's a beautifully styled Excel pack you will get that could be ready to send to anybody. Balance sheet import, same. Mapping, same idea. Aged debtors. So one thing about some FP&A tools is that they will use an average for cash flow smoothing. With this, you have your exact aged debtors and creditors, and you can split these out any way you want. So for example, this 94,800, this customer might say, oh, we're going to pay 79 in April, 7,900 September, 7,900 in October, and that will split out as per cash flow. So we can get as accurate as possible. We do that for both debtors and creditors. So instead of like working with averages, we're actually getting really accurate on our cash flow. Full kind of prepayment accruals module as well. So to take a real quick example, if I just zero those out, let's add something. Let's say it's a rates bill. Let's say it starts April 26, ends March 27. The invoice is going to be paid 30 days after receiving. It's going to recur annually. But the quirk with this is it is prepaid over 12 months, but the payments towards this invoice are over 10 months. So that's kind of fairly tricky if you're trying to model that out on it like on an automatic thing. But with this, you can just pop in, okay, great, 12 months there. It's actually paid over 10 months. So rates bill, for example, select office rent there, and then we'll put in the amount 12,000. So we can see there that it is being prepaid over 12 months, but the actual payment is only hitting the cash flow over 10 months. So now we can start to get really accurate with things. Accrued income, very similar. We can do all sorts of releases. We can custom assign any accrued income. Same for accrued and deferred income. So deferred income often doesn't follow a set schedule. So you can type in whatever you want for each month. So maybe 13,000 that month and then 12,000 that month kind of thing, because you need a bit more flexibility for accrued expenses and deferred income. We also have full intercompany. Would take too long to cover, so I will skip right now. We have loans as well. We can cater for capital and interest only period months. We can attach PDFs, loan schedules. It will auto compute not amortization, but interest, principal, full loan computations for either interest only or capital and interest, which is very handy. Fixed assets, straight line, reducing balance, whether it's amortization or depreciation. We can fill in our information there, any residual value, and it will kind of auto post depreciation, etc., to the P&L and balance sheet. Give us a breakdown there. We can also do manual journals against balance sheet. We can cater for credit card drawdowns. Cash flow, fully interlinked, indirect method and direct method as well, for whichever you prefer. 13-week is a work in progress I am building in. And then we also have a full reporting function here. So, for example, monthly performance report. You'll notice this is white when I'm in dark mode, because nobody is going to print out a report in dark mode because I'd use a lot of ink. So the reports are always kind of displayed in light mode. So we can kind of choose anything we want, any custom information, and we can visualize it kind of any way we want. Really, really, really powerful, really easy to kind of build reports here. Rolling EBITDA, growth investment options. We can add blocks. So we can add all kinds of things like metric strips, ratio trend analysis, dashboards, org charts, agent analysis. We can also ask AI to give us commentary on any of this report, or we can ask AI to actually build the report for us, which is really handy if we know exactly what we're looking to build. We also have GoalSeek. So GoalSeek works on both historic and forecast. Important that this works in your forecast too. So for example, load demo example here, EBITDA is currently 1.192. Our target is 2 million, and we can add any levers we want for the P&L. In this demo, we have revenue and we got OPEX. So 2 million revenue, two ways we could do it. Increase our revenue by 27.6%, and we can move our OPEX, and you see if we reduce our OPEX, our EBITDA will increase. If we increase our revenue more, EBITDA will increase, decrease. So now we can kind of take the nominal ledgers and we can run GoalSeek on forecast data as well, not just historical. So this is really good when you're working with the clients, the board, the management team, all that kind of stuff. This is the best way to work with kind of folks who are maybe not super financial, because people understand this. We've got kind of full variance analysis, actuals, budgets, forecast. We've got a headcount module, which will kind of take into account entire headcount of the org, break everything down by teams, and it will also generate an org chart, which is, again, great for kind of board packs and stuff. Valuation module built in. So we can report on a few different things: EBIT, revenue, EBITDA. We've got add backs. We can do valuation methods. We can deduct anything from EV, so deferred income, net debt, etc. We can choose sector, business services, recruitment, construction. We'll change in multiples. Integrations, super important. So this is just some example ones, but this app can integrate into other pieces of software. So I can link into Google Analytics, Asana, HubSpot, any system. If it's got an API, I can link my app into it and pull through non-financial data into the KPI section. And KPIs, we can set targets, we can set forecasts, all that kind of good stuff. And this is what links back to the dashboards, this KPI information. So you can build these specifically for your client with all your management information all flowing through from either your financial data source or your non-financial data source. You can add anything you want to these blocks, all kind of nice things. Customize your dashboards. I'm aware of time, so I will just finish off the last few bits and pieces. Back end, we have tax settings, different depending on where you live. But UK, you've got different taxes. You can assign taxes per group. Like in P&L nominals, I like to split payroll into teams, and you can do that. So you can split the tax for employer taxes per team as opposed to just one nominal code. So you can get really accurate. Quite technical. VAT holding accounts, I'll skip it. Payment plans, I'll skip it. Dividend forecast, some clients report dividend P&L, others balance sheet. This caters for that. Scenarios, multiple scenarios, baseline, best case scenario, worst case scenario, actual master budget for the year, loads of other stuff as well. Intelligence module, just to round off quickly. Intelligence module links into Outlook. So if I can do any emails I receive from @client1 will appear in here. Links into meeting tools like Granola and stuff will appear in here, and I can feed that into the AI context of this app. So when I'm asking it to give board reports or build dashboards, it has full context of the client. It can see all the emails, all the meeting notes. It has all the non-financial KPIs. It has all the financial information. So you can get really, really, really good financial stuff here. And just to finish off real quick, I'm going to show you groups. So this app really shines on groups. This is where it's real good. So in terms of the dashboard here, let me show you the members. So we've got one group company, two group company, three group company, then a nested group. So a group within a group, kind of like Inception. And we can change the scenarios per company. So this one we could work on best case, this one baseline, this one worst case, this subgroup of a group best, this one worst, and then we can reconsolidate, and that will reconsolidate into the entire group consolidation model. And in terms of our dashboard, we can view it consolidated per card or per group company. So for example, I change that to mock group there. I'm only seeing mock group. And if I change that to consolidated, I'm seeing the whole consolidated group there. We've got all the other stuff you'd expect. COA mapping, FX rates, which are pulled through automatically. Online, eliminations, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, group KPIs, group headcount, group age debtors broken down per company, age creditors broken down per company. Again, we can choose our kind of scenarios if we want per group. We have group goal seek. We can do this for the consolidated group, or we can do it per company. So not only do you have goal seek per company, you can do it for the consolidated group, which again is really good for kind of planning on high level. So here, auto solve, GP margin 55.2. We want a target of 60. Solve. Okay, cool. So cost of goods sold, reduce that. Our GP margin goes up. All that kind of good stuff. Adjustments, any high level group adjustments we want to make. So adjustments that don't hit individual companies. So adjustments at the group level. Variance, group variance there. Group benchmarking. So first, third, second, which company is performing the best against the portfolio. What connectors are created, so non-financial data sources, etc. And we can, of course, do group reporting and report against individual group companies, scenarios, etc., etc. We can change the branding. We can upload all kinds of stuff. We can add new things that we want. Scenario comparison, we need to actually load in some scenarios. And we've got the kind of back-end settings, reporting currency, financial year-end for the group, forecast horizon, 3 years, who's in the group, all that kind of good stuff. And I think I am just on time. So I'll stop now.
Yeah, wow. You covered the entire ocean of things in the matter of 25 minutes. So thank you for really running us deep into this app that, again, I think just judging from the comments, quite impressive. And I know that you could have probably taken another hour easily to cover everything.
Yeah, because the key thing I always like to show people is really go into the detail on the finance engine, like how everything actually links together and proving, look, this three-way model works. This isn't just a fancy app. Like guys, I use this for my clients. I have transitioned all my clients off my previous tool. So I use this live for my clients.
Yeah, which is also, I think, the more impressive thing actually in all this. And I think what would be helpful for the audience would actually to kind of explain basically how you set it up as well. I know that there was a question from Frederick, just to get a sense for the audience on like how are you hosting this? Like what are like the key technical things that are actually making this run, right? I think that would be really good for context as well.
Yeah, definitely. So this is hosted, the code is hosted on GitHub. And of course, in the interest of security, it's not 2FA, it's MFA. So we've got multi-factor security on it. So you need email, you need 2FA authenticator app on your phone. Then you need a passkey as well. So we want to make sure everything's as secure as possible. So the code's hosted on GitHub. I'm using Claude Code to push code back to GitHub. The actual data itself is hosted on Supabase, and again, multi-factor authentication. Supabase SOC 2 compliance, same as GitHub, same as Vercel, etc. And the actual app itself is hosted on Vercel. So there's three different places: GitHub for the code, Supabase for the information, and Vercel for the actual app deployment. And just to iterate as well, the app itself, it has it's got two ways you can use it. You can use it on offline mode, which means the files will only stay on your computer. Nothing will touch the cloud. Or you can use it in cloud mode, which means the information will be on Supabase. And I'm going to preempt a question here because people. I watched the last couple of these sessions, and the first question everybody had was in terms of security. So I'm just going to share screen again really quickly. Together really briefly. So in terms of security, I spend a bit of time on security. I say a bit, I spend a lot of time on security, a lot more than I probably should have, because you want to be secure with this stuff. So in terms of encryption, I won't go through in great detail. Your data, your choice, local mode, cloud mode, optional zero knowledge encryption. That means like myself, I would only see ciphertext, so I wouldn't be able to read anything. Access control, row level security enforced at the database, role-based access, email, Google, Microsoft SSA supported, shared dashboards. I didn't cover shared dashboards, but those dashboards that I showed you guys, I can actually share them with my clients, and they can use them without logging in or touching the app, and they're updated in real time. They use unguessable crypto tokens. In terms of the AI stuff, it's entirely optional, opt in or opt out. If you don't want to touch any AI in the tool, just don't enter your API key. And nothing will be there. Integration security, OAuth 2.0 with PKCE. Connector tokens never stay stored in the server. And operational hygiene. I scan all the time for security leaks. Schedule internal audits. Strict content security policy. And before I actually release this app, I will be getting an independent third party to do a full security test on this app, as in try your hardest to break the security on this app. So we want to be really, really as secure in everything we do always, especially since we're working with financial data.
Cool. No, thank you for that. I think super helpful to have a bit of context on how this is all architected. And there's also a question from David that I think could be helpful, which is, so how long did it take you to build this from the very beginning to now? Also, so I know that in the beginning of this session, you talked about how you would prompt more specific short prompts. Is that how you built it from until now as well? And like any tips on like prompting as well for this?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of started, I think we first spoke, Luke, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think at that point I had maybe started about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So it's probably been about maybe 6 to 7 weeks now. And I went from knowing zero coding experience, as in I had none, I just looked up online, how do I use Claude Code? Took me about 30, 45 minutes to get started. And then I did literally what I showed you guys at the start. I went, okay, like I've got an idea. Let's build an FP&A app. Let's start with the P&L. Let's work through. And a lot of people, you might see tips online, like context is everything. Like give Claude this big, massive context. Here I'll spend like 2 months designing like my grand vision of this. Then I'll paste it in Claude, and Claude will build the whole thing. It's going to be the best thing in the world. I didn't take that approach. I literally went step by step. Built the P&L first, and I maybe spent 4 days on the P&L. I don't like how that looks. Screenshot, change that. I want this functionality. Screenshot, change that. And the entire app was built on slow iterations, step by step by step by step by step. I very much I'm acting as quality assurance at each step. I'm not letting Claude build everything at once. I'm doing QA on every single step, so I'm happy with it. And the other good thing is, if you do it step by step, you learn, because you're seeing the prompts back and forth. You're fixing things, and then my development speed just got faster and faster and faster and faster, because I started understanding things. I didn't know anything when I started, but because of this step by step by step, this iterative process, I started understanding things, and then I got faster and better and quicker and stronger, like Daft Punk, So yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much the tip here is just try, jump in and just test. Yep. Right, is what I write here.
100%. Yep. Jump in, just test, kind of thing.
Yes.
And if you are kind of building, if you have a vision, you want to build like an app, like along an ongoing project. Number one is in Claude Code, tell Claude, say, make me a backlog file. And anytime you have an idea in Claude Code, you just say, add this idea to backlog. And then Claude will start to build up a backlog of all your ideas. And then because Claude has a continuous memory as it goes through, it learns how you work. And then you can say, like, tomorrow morning, I can go, hey, Claude, show me the backlog. It will show me the backlog and go, okay, based on our interactions in the last week, it sounds like this is probably your top priority. And it will give a time estimate kind of thing. And then you can tackle anything you want or your top priority. So with that continuous memory, have a backlog. And so that's been like one of the most helpful things for me, having that backlog, and Claude can cross-reference and go, oh, actually, we're working on this. Do you know what? We could maybe knock off that backlog item at the same time, because it's quite interconnected. And you're like, oh yeah, you know what? We actually could. So those would be two good tips. So iterate step by step and have a backlog file.
Nice. No, very good tips. I think those are very useful for anybody just getting started. There's one question also that I had asked you before the call from Richard, which is about the usage of credits and tokens. And like, what plan are you on? How many credits or tokens are you roughly using? Like, and also like, I'd ask you this question as well, as like, any strategies to conserve tokens and think about it that way?
Yeah, sure. So one key way to conserve tokens is kind of the approach that I mentioned just a minute ago, going step by step. Because if you feed some massive plan into Claude Code, it's just going to chew up your tokens so quickly. I use max 20 plan primarily when I'm coding, using demo data to build the actual coding things, not real client data. That's the team plan. But basically, I have never run out of tokens on the max plan, ever. And I work on this a lot. You know what I mean? So yeah, just iterate step by step. I've never run out of tokens. And like I was saying to you, Luke, before we kicked off, like the way I see it is Claude Max Plan. I mean, $100 a month for one of the most revolutionary pieces of technology in the last however many years. I mean, we're CFOs. And we have one of the most like revolutionary bits of technology. Are we going to grumble at paying $100 a month? I wouldn't.
Yeah, fair. Another question I think that I saw multiple times is about the ERP you had hooked up. Can you just refresh people? I think someone said in the chat it was Sage, QuickBooks, and Xero. Is that correct?
Yep, yeah. Sage, QuickBooks, and Xero. Building the integrations for them. The first one was a bit tricky because I'd never done it before. I started with Xero, and then once I had built the first integration, I knew what to do. And then I built the one for QuickBooks, then the one for Sage. Building the integrations, it's once you've done the first, you kind of know what it's looking for, and you know kind of you know how to map out, and you know how to kind of pull stuff from the API into a certain format kind of thing. And you just kind of, once you've done the first one, building the other two were easy. Xero probably took about a day. QuickBooks and Sage combined a day kind of thing. And I'm very confident, like if I had to build something for another integration, I could do it pretty quickly, as long as it's not a huge ERP or something. Like that would be quite difficult. But for example, like let's say if I wanted to build a Stripe integration, could do that in 2 hours and have it working and the info feeding into the app in 2 hours maximum. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. Looking at other questions, I think some of them you've already answered. There's one from Louis, which is more about how do you trust the outputs from the Claude models,
Yep.
and how can you actually QA and detect errors? You said that you QA every step of the way.
Yep.
Walk us through a bit more that process to make sure that you're getting like the accurate outputs.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of QA, when we're running through, especially, let's say I was making a change to prepayments, for example. Oddly enough, prepayments was like one of the most difficult parts of this entire thing. It doesn't sound like it would be, but actually getting prepayments right was the most difficult part. So if I say to Claude, okay, using that example I showed you guys there, when it's a prepayments of something prepaid expense release over 12 months, but the actual cash hits only 10 months out of the 12, it would be a case that took ages. That took like 7 hours to get right. It was crazy. It sounds like it should be so easy, but the cash kept going wrong. And then the tax kept getting posted in the wrong place. And then retained earnings kept messing up. I was like, why is this so difficult? It sounds easy. But it's just using your own financial knowledge. I mean, you type in the figures. If you know how to do a three-way model, you know where things land. So you know the impact on corporation tax, you know the impact on sales tax, you know the impact on retained earnings, you know the impact on cash. So you can just manually verify with the demo company, okay, here's what it was before. I make the change on Claude. Now, is this what I expect to happen? Okay, great. Cash has decreased by that amount. Okay, retained earnings has decreased by that amount. Unless you've got pretty deep finance knowledge, like you cannot just spin up an app like this and expect it to work for real clients. I guarantee you that right now. You need to know what you're doing when it comes to your finance technical and your three-way forecasting. Do not expect to magically type build me a three-way FP&A app and it's going to work. It will not. It will break. And that's why if you see a lot of people on LinkedIn, hey, this AI will replace your CFO, comment AI CFO for the guide or whatever. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. You need to check and verify absolutely everything on an iterative basis, because if you are doing this for your clients, it's got to be right. It can't be wrong. I mean, people are making business decisions on your information. It can't be wrong.
Yeah, and I think the way you kind of talked about how you iterate in like a more bite-sized approach, also I think kind of like it lends its well nicely to what you're saying here as well, to make sure that you're checking everything. So no, super interesting. Thank you. Question from Adriano, which is more about your monthly bill all in. When you think about compute, hosting, your Claude plan, like ballpark figure, how much is that kind of running you, if you don't mind sharing?
$160.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So
all it is basically all it is the Claude plan, which is $100. Super base, which is like $35, and Vercel, which is like again $35. That's it. And and it saved me over like $8,000 a year in software fees from my previous provider.
Yeah, and that actually I think goes nice into the next question. Is a question from Deepak, but also a question I had for you in our initial call, is like kind of like the future of FP&A software, and also like buy versus build. Do you have any opinions or thoughts on that?
It's a tough one. It depends. It's a very tough question because it's very kind of situation and circumstance specific based on your own goals and the goals of your company. If you're employed in a company, that's going to limit your ability to do what you want in terms of coding, enterprise issues, data issues, all that kind of good stuff. If you're like a fractional CFO like me, you can go crazy and kind of code your own app, do what you want kind of thing. There's a lot less kind of internal corporate restrictions. So all depends on your own specific use case. Certainly for me, I decided to build. The reason I decided to build was I had tried a lot of the well-known FP&A and forecasting apps for the kind of sub ERP market. So kind of maybe maybe your 2 to 50 million revenue companies don't really need an ERP, that kind of thing. And they just weren't as accurate on cash flow as I would have liked. And there was just always annoying things that really annoyed me all the time, every month. I couldn't get it right. And like, why don't they fix this? So I'll try a different one. Okay, that was fixed in there, but now this thing's wrong. My Lord, like, can I not just have a tool that works the way I want? And as a solo fractional CFO, I was like, you know what? This whole AI thing sounds like something I should probably start getting into. And plus, I'm annoyed on a daily basis by all my software. Two birds with one stone. I'll build my own and learn about AI. Everybody's a winner.
Nice. And yeah, like, what do you? There's also a few questions here about like, how do you feel about like actually, you know, commercializing this and making it something that people can purchase? Is that in the roadmap for you?
Potentially. So I'll probably be doing another webinar in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to give the live demo out. So basically, I'm going to give this for free, the live demo. Anybody can play about with the group demo or the individual company demo. And you will see I'm not talking nonsense about it actually works in the finance side of things. But I will welcome feedback from everybody. In terms of will I plan to commercialize it, two ways I could do it. Number one, I could just literally open source it and release a source code and say, hey, everybody, enjoy, kind of thing. And the benefit to that approach is I will get a lot of social credit, which may lead to kind of more referrals from other fractional CFOs, might lead to more engagements, all that kind of good stuff. So by releasing it for free, it could indirectly bring me quite a decent amount of clients. Or I could commercialize it. I could maybe raise some money, or I could just kind of soft launch it, get a few users, then get some capital. I don't know. Options are open. But at the moment, I'm just kind of focused on building my backlog. It's still very, very big. I still have like a full security test to do, although everything is like all cloud working and it's pretty secure. It's the full security testing is not done yet. So my honest answer is I don't know, but I am open to suggestions, thoughts, and pathways, I guess.
Nice. No, thank you for answering that in a very candid way. I'm sure people here would be quite curious to also, you know, have their hands at it and give it a try if it's open source. So that could be quite a cool initiative on your part to kind of help the finance community as well.
Yep.
All right, cool. I think we're at the top of the hour almost. So we're gonna wrap this up. We've tried to touch on most of the bigger, broader categories of questions. So I hope you found that useful. So Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to really dive deep into this app, which was a monster. Once again, I'm gonna just share in the chat Kevin's LinkedIn. If you wanna follow his story, please connect with the guy. He's gonna have another webinar soon, as you said. So, you know, I welcome all you guys to follow him. You can also connect with me as well, because we will be running more of these Claude Code sessions with other experts in the space. So we'll have one probably beginning of May. So we'll see you then for that one. And that's it. Again, thank you to Kevin, and thank you to everyone who stuck around to watch this. We hope you found it valuable, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.